I just tried going from the bottom up. I was really hopeful about it because I got the bottom one in with no problem, obviously. And when I went to the second one, I actually was able to get the hose on. And I actually have the two different lengths of hose here based on what we did on the first row. And the problem is that there's just not enough space in here for a service loop that allows the connection into the T. All right, so this T is back there, and it really needs to be straight up and down like this. That way the water goes down through each one of these. I am a little worried about backflow into here, so that design might need a little bit of an update as well. But you can't go from the bottom up because there's not enough space in here for a service loop, which is a problem in general because we really wanted to be able to, you know, take these off individually, and the way that they go in, you really can't. They're kind of there. So I think for this test, we'll go ahead and get this thing all plumbed up. But you know, like trying to take this one out, it's not going to want to come out because there's not enough service loop in that drain tube to connect. And you know, maybe as I look at this, it would be better if the drain went just straight down through so they dripped onto each other rather than have that drain tube there, you know, regardless. And these things are staying in place so well, we might not even need the interlocks there. So, there's that. Those are those thoughts. Certainly if we remove that back drain and just have it go right here off to the side of the supply line, we can even shift that supply line over a little bit so that a drain could go right there. There's enough space where we can make that all happen. It could even be a post print drill thing that we do. In fact, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just take the, because I mean that tube is a pain in the butt. It costs more money. The supply tube is fine. That's no problem. But running this drain, I don't like it at all. You know, a grommet would be the right thing to, how do you, so if we went with just the wall thing here, put that in there so it goes in so we can see here. If we did just, we will need a drain coming off the very bottom. You got to have that. And then you got to make it to where each one of them can connect to another drain. We really need something. And so if you just cut a hole and cut a hole on the top of the other one, so if you cut a hole there and cut a hole here and those holes match up with each other perfectly, then it's still going to leak water because there's a seam there and water always finds a seam. I like how they look though. I like how this is coming together. I like the back panels. They got dirty today because I'm all dirty, but no one's going to see them, so it doesn't matter. I don't like those holes. Not a big fan of those. I think round posts would be better. Drainage. You know, technically speaking, no, that won't work. Oh, there's two ways you can operate these. You can do a continuous flow or you can do timer flow. If you do timer flow, then you can get it where just enough water drips into the cup and it holds it there, and you don't have a need for a drain. But there's always a chance that something's going to overflow, so you always need a drain. The other way is continuous flow, in which case water will always be moving through here, through the emitter, down into the cup, and then back to the cup and down into the drain. And I notice those drains have a little angle on them. So it would be better almost to have a subfloor here. A subfloor coming off, like basically moving this slant, moving it up, and then creating a little reservoir right in here where the water goes. That way it can't flow out because the water has to rise enough to go down that drain. which means it's going to tend to want to come forward, and I haven't put that lip in here yet. That is what stops it. So people have asked me about how we're going to stop that. I need to have a lip there, and I haven't put it in yet, but that was my plan. All right, well, let's get this thing plumbed up. We just got to see how it works. Just got the second row in. Total elapsed time was about 2 minutes. So once you know what you're doing, they go in very fast. So it's not like it's horrible, but still, I think an installation that's easier than this would be prudent. And again, also, I really wanted to be able to pull these middle ones out. And you can imagine, 100 of these going, and you don't want to have to take, 45 of them out to get to the one right in the middle. Also, another thing I noticed in installing them, this really should be an elbow. So we need to replace that with an elbow, and life would be much better. But the installation here, see if we can do it live. Now we kind of got the hose lengths kind of figured out. It seems to go a lot better. The 1/4-inch tubing is pretty good. You got to make sure it routes, because it's not an elbow. You got to snake it up in there so that it folds on itself correctly. And this, once that's in there, you're good. That's the hardest part, making sure that thing snakes up in there correctly so it doesn't pinch, and I think we may have pinched some anyway. So again, this is operationalizing a design, going from concept to real world application is where all the challenge is at. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. That's still, and I think something that lines those up would be nice. Of course, everything that's going in, once it hits it, it goes in smooth. So it's just, I gotta get that. Goes back in there. It just wants to wrap around that darn thing. Of course, now that I got the camera on, we get all these problems, That's just how it goes, too. And by yourself, everything's great, but turn that camera on, and the whole world watching is when you screw up. It's all about tube routing. It's all about the routing. Routing of everything here is the real issue. It's the issue that we're having. And it's the hardest thing to do. See, this hand, how would I do that on a wall? You know what I'm saying? Like that, I guess. Okay, that has to connect, and this is getting tricky back there. You don't need that extra little bit. Would be nice. It's on there, but not totally satisfied with that one. Yeah, so the routing is our nemesis at this point. How to get it all routed correctly. Bottom ones, the drains are kind of in the way there as well. All right, so you can see how some of these boingy boing, we thought of that. We thought of the boingy. Find my pieces here. Pieces. Okay. All right, so now, these are the interlocks, and again, they were done on different ones. Oh, yep, they work just like they're supposed to. Look at that. Right, everything interlocks to each other. I don't even think you'd have to use them everywhere, but since that's the design, I guess, but clearly you can see ones that are a little boingy on us. So put these in there. And the face plates go on and hold everything in place. So these ain't going anywhere. And these were also done with 2 different processes. So some of these are going to fit, some of them aren't. Because of the process and the temperature. You use different temperatures on these things, like these guys here, they're really gooey right in there. So they don't want to stick. There we go. But those ones are great. That very first process we did worked out slick. Let's just start hanging right there. We go. All right. And one more. So you need a minimum of 1 on each edge. That's good. They hold in real nice with just a minimum of 1. So there's that. Also, these other guys that I have here, what I was playing around with are ideas to mount lights. All right, and here's an idea right here. It's the same exact shape as that, but I could put LEDs underneath of it, and that could work potentially. We could also do one of these guys here, which has still got its structure in it, support structure, which is not wanting to come out easily. So, well, yeah, it doesn't want to come out easily. I need to go get a different tool for that job, but it's the same idea, only this. So this little piece here would, I'll get the structure on there, mount on it. So this would be right here and slide back and forth. So that's another idea, or you could potentially do something like this. Ideas, they're ideas, folks, just ideas at this point. So now let's get that idea out of there. I really do want the LEDs. I don't like that. I want the LEDs to be part of this. So we do have to solve that problem. That is a legitimate thing to still be solved. You're going to see different color schemes come up here, not because I wanted them to be different colors or because of some great test purpose, but really it's because the black ones failed so often. I couldn't get a print. This is going to be the same type of challenge, isn't it? Also, each of these corners has a screw hole, which currently I'm not using. I thought I would need them. It doesn't seem like I will need them. Or it didn't seem, I should say, it did not seem like I would need them given how well everything was fitting together. But once I get them on the wall here, I think I do want to implement those. Because it is a little boingy. Yeah, and if you just grab that, there's a chance that could just come off. And you can see how the faceplate holds everything in place. And then we also have a different magazine here. I'm calling these white things that are in here the magazines because you can have different, we're going to play around with different magazine sizes. Everything needs a good wash, that's for darn sure. All the dust out here. Some interesting growing. Yeah, there's a good reason why you want those screws right there. It's a little boingy. And clearly printing with 2 different processes is discouraged. But, you know, it was what it was. That one just doesn't want to go in there at all. That one's not going to fit. That's got a problem with it. That just doesn't want to go in there. Oop, I need a little thing on there. Of course, dump it out. Yeah, the one, at least one, you should really, you know, it looks like you probably do want to just, I don't think we want to change that design. I think you want to have all of them in there. Oh, that one's missing one there. That one's missing one too. Well, Jeff, you didn't finish the job there, buddy. There we go. Choking hazard, obviously, but they're not meant to be taken out. They're not meant to be taken out and given to kids. This is not a toy, but it's certainly something that you're going to have to put on a label. Lawyers love labels. Oh, this is one of the ugly ones. Ugly. Also ugly. This is one of the, these ones are the last ones that got printed here. Because they have the black specks in them. Don't fight me. because of the back wall. Okay, yeah, we definitely want those screws. Nobody wants that popping off, so we're gonna need to buy those screws. I was hoping to get away with that. Drags. Is that one of the wrong ones? One of these I printed up was wrong. Oh, these are those. Yeah. We gotta go fix these. Because of the temperature, these ones melted a little bit more to the bed and they created a little lip. So we gotta go fix that. I just got everything connected. We're gonna give this thing a shot of electricity and see what happens. Water's coming up, going in. All right, plug. Plugged. All right, but that was a good test. I took all the elements out here so that it could, that's even draining, purge itself. We got all the purging done here. But it looks like we do have a few of them that the supply lines got plugged. So it's plug, right? I'll plug it in one more time now. This is why we do testing. Additional pressure might inflate those. It did. All right, so yeah, the back pressure created actually allowed it to inflate, so that's nice. But we are pumping a bunch through it. We might have a little too much pressure. These are pressure compensating emitters, so we shouldn't have a huge problem. Now go. So we got a leak here. You can clearly see why we're testing. Without that lip on there, we're gonna have a problem just like you all thought. What I could do is I could temporarily tilt this whole thing up like this. It'll help solve that problem temporarily. Obviously, we're not supposed to have water going all over the place, but for all the people who are like, oh my goodness, there's water everywhere, clearly that's not the design intent. But getting this thing all put together and figuring this out is why we're doing this. All right, I do like the tilt idea. I think that's wise. Whoa! All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and call this day done. What just happened is two things. One, we're definitely having a pinching problem back here, and that's creating a high pressure point leak that needs to be fixed. So we've got to do something about that routing. Second, the pump that I have can pump out 160 psi, and that's just simply too much. So what's happening is we're just over pressurizing it, then we're getting back pressure up at the filter, and we just popped off the pump. We don't need to have that much pressure in the system. So I think we need to get a smaller PSI pump for this. I had that pump, so that's why I'm using it. So we're going to need to go do some thinking. The drain, it's got water in it. It's draining. So that's good. Doesn't look. Obviously, the lip that we needed in the front, that was my plan for stopping the leak, and I didn't get that into these versions. So we need to get that taken care of. But we learned a lot today, right? We learned a tremendous amount today. We need to get the screws. I'm happy with this test. I'm happy to have made it here. I really wanted to be planting something in this today. So I'm, a little downhearted here. I'm a little let down. But all in all, this is a very successful test. We learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work. The structures are good. We need to deal with the drainage issue. We need to deal with the ability to interconnect them. So we might as well go get that stuff all figured out. So that means I'm actually probably going to end up watching this video quite a bit so that I can see all this stuff, because it's kind of like design history. These are all my notes here that I'm sharing with you guys, so get the inside scoop. Curious what your thoughts are. I'll try to get this up soon before I make any modifications so your guys' ideas can get integrated into it. But yeah, a good test. A good test. You can already see shadowing and stuff is going to be something that's going to be an issue, but the plants are going to grow out like this, so it's really going to be interesting how to do the light. But I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So thanks for following along. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry my mic died halfway through here, but hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. If you like what we're doing, you can help us out on Patreon for the cost of less than a candy bar per month. In the meantime, everybody, this is The Real Martian. Out.